Welcome to the Kawarthas Small Business Podcast, where we believe the Kawarthas can be the most thriving region in Canada for small businesses. So we created a podcast where we have million-dollar conversations that help small business owners thrive. I'm Brian Rump from Profit Coach.
And I'm Matt Garrity of Matty G Digital.
And we are recording from the Thrive Podcast Studio at Thrive Co-working Community in downtown Lindsay, Ontario at 18 Kent Street West. And today joining us in studio is Lana and Heather from Big World Creative. Welcome. Who would like to speak first?
Oh, Lana's pointing at me, so I guess that's me.
Pointing, it was more of a fear headlights, frantically shaking.
You go first.
I wish we had recorded that look.
We need a camera.
She was all cool and then just was like,
Not happening. Well, the exciting thing is that Big World Creative, we joined forces in January. So we launched our business in the ripe ages of 58 and 59, a brand new business together. So, I mean, we're pulling obviously on our past experience. Lana's been in print marketing for 20 years. I've been in creative and design for 20 years. So we're just joining forces, and it's been an incredible ride so far. And I always say that if it's not fun, it's work. And we really, at this point in our lives, we want to have fun. We don't want to work.
That's
we
awesome.
want to work and have fun. So, and that's what we're doing. Yeah. So we offer everything. I always say, if you can see it, we can do it, from web design to
print, promotional.
Yeah, Lana's good at spewing out what we can do. So.
Web design, starting out with your brand, web design, print, promotional. So we offer the whole package. Lately, we've been doing a lot of website audits, just kind of seeing if you need a refresh or how your website's working for you. And we're meeting a lot of fabulous people along the way. And it's been a really amazing, fun journey. It's since January just coming together. We were supposed to do this 20 years ago. And so we've done a full circle, and Heather kept waiting, and finally I decided I'd journey this way, and it's been fantastic. So it's been a great journey.
Tell me about what Big World Creative. I love the name because it really suits your personalities and the energy you bring, and it just seems so natural. Has that been the name in the back of your mind for 20 years? Or
Heather's going to tell that story because she wrote it down about 7 years ago. She wrote this name down, but she didn't know what she was going to do with it. So when we were discussing, we went, we should call it this, that, and everything. And she said, what do you think about this? And I'm like, all of a sudden you just get that. It's a fit. And we just went. But you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. So about 7 years ago, I was rebranding from, what was I back then? Heather Chapman graphic design. And the problem is it sounded just like me. And I said, I need something now that represents me plus a team of people, because it's not just me. And I was, do you brand yourself as who you are? Do you brand yourself as something other than who you are? And it was just a challenge. And Big World Creative was one of the options. And at Big World Creative, not because we're big world and we're creatives, it's because every small business has their own world, right? And that world is big to them. And we help them tell their story and connect to their world and who they are marketing to and who their ideal client is. That's their world, and it's big to every small business. So that's where Big World Creative kind of evolved.
Oh, I love that. And it's about creating creating the big world, which is the one that you're part of.
Yeah, one that you're part of. And we really encourage people, when we first meet, we really want to know your story. And just like you're asking what our story is, what is your story and what is your passion? And how are you bringing that passion forward? And how can we help you in what we do and what we're experienced in to help you tell that story? And this is where I'm going to brag a little bit about Heather, because when she hears your story and you have zero branding, you don't even know where you're going with it, and you just tell your passion and your story, and she has these intriguing questions that she loves to ask you, and boom, out comes this beautiful brand, and people are like, they're just on target. Like, she'll give you anywhere from 4 or 5 concepts, but one of those concepts is exactly where your mind was going, but you couldn't get that vision out. So she takes your story and brings your vision alive. And for me, as a salesperson and part of the initial process, it's so easy to sell to somebody because I know that we're going to produce something that is going to be a benefit and to be able for them to tell their story and get their passion out, because your creativity is just, yeah.
My heart.
I love that. We talk. You joined us at Monday Morning Coffees, and we've talked about artificial intelligence a bit, and people who are worried about that. What I love about what you just said is the exact proof why the robots aren't taking over, because I always believe people want to do business with their neighbors.
Yes.
Communities are always going to exist somehow. We want to deal with people in our communities. We can type into an AI to create me a logo with meaning, and it might spew things out, but you need that human to be able to hear that and bring it all together and create that thing that other humans are going to want to do business with.
And I believe too that a design is about eliciting an emotion from somebody, right? And that emotion comes from color. Yeah. It comes from shapes. It comes from fonts. And I'm hoping that artificial intelligence can't kind of dive that deep into something like that. But who knows, one day maybe. But now I like to think that that's not going to happen. And to be able to connect the emotional component and the story component to what design is, all those elements of design that's the fun part. That's bringing something alive that's emotional into something visual. And then from there, it just goes from the initial branding into website, into print, and all those things. And it just continues to grow and evolve. And this story and this passion of our clients just grows and becomes bigger and bigger. It gets them so excited about their business, right? That's one thing I hear when we present something to them. Is like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited now to get this out there, because it's their story. They're so connected to it, and that's what's so meaningful.
I think that's really important, what you just said about people being excited. And I think when you have your own business, and a lot of business owners, they get into business for different reasons. Sometimes they're good at managing. I see people always want to know, well, what's the right answer? What's going to work? Like, just tell me what to do. And it's hard because what they need to do is what fits with them and sort of create the guide that they are. So when you can create something that they just look at and fall in love with, now they're proud to share it, versus people who hack something together or they don't love it. They are going to be hesitant to sort of go out into their big world and sell it. But you bring that joy of like, here's the thing that you need. And
you're so right, because when you put something together haphazardly, you're going to go out there as a business haphazardly.
Yeah.
So there's a parallel there for sure.
You need to run out there confident. And I'll give an example of Matt sitting here in the room and some posters that he had made up from not you guys.
But now it's us guys.
That he was, embarrassed about. They didn't really, and there's lots of design reasons, but then to see him go from hesitant, like, oh, I made a poor choice, to excited to be like, hey, everyone, look at this thing that I have. Like, that's sort of the magic that you need to be creating.
Yeah, it's such a representation of the brand and an extension of me that I could not put those original posters out. And I'd struggled for a long time on Canva and then sending them to the big box business store down the road. And it was really easy. It was really convenient. It wasn't cheap either.
No.
It wasn't much cheaper than working with professionals, frankly. But it was so easy and convenient. And I was like, oh, I can do this. My ego's like, yeah, it's not a problem. And the problem was, the first time I ever did it, I think it was the bridal show posters. I knew right away, I'm like, these are not great. I'm pretty mad at myself, but maybe that's like, okay, I don't have time for this, and pushed through it and went through a couple more mistakes. And what was the one that I worked with you on the first time that was so bad? The wellness show.
The wellness show.
Yeah.
Oh, that poster was brutal. That looked like clip art. Looked like someone put it together with clip art. It was me. It looked fine. Digitally, it looked fine.
Yeah.
And then when it was printed from the big box business store again, it was awful. And like, it was because there was no human touch. If there was a human that looked at that poster and there was like color blocks all over the place and it just didn't look like super pixelated, that image, they never would have handed that over to me. And that was a big, valuable lesson, especially for what we're trying to do here at Thrive and my own reputation marketing wise. I'm like, I can't be the guy who just prints something off on a printer and slaps it up, because people do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to do this myself. Like, I can't do that. I can't represent myself that way. And it's a slippery slope. Like, they start to wonder, that poster looks so bad. Are they going to throw a terrible event at Thrive?
Yeah.
And if that poster looks so bad, is the marketing guy that did it, is he going to miss the details on my marketing stuff? And I'm like, that's the time. I saw you that morning. I think it was that morning. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. Ever. Like, I was like, I can't do this. And like, everything now goes directly to you guys because of that. So.
And how much easier is that for you now?
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Even it was easy using the online system, but it was still a bit stressful because, again, like, I do everything in digital, and there's wiggle room with digital. Something goes up, I can delete it.
Yes.
I do that enough where I'm like, well, this doesn't look right. We got to fix this. I can hide stuff digitally. Print, you can't hide anything. No. So now, like, I get I work myself up when I do anything. I used to print stuff because I was like, I'm the last line of defense here. Now you guys are. I'm like, they'll find any problems. I love it. Like, I'm like, I don't need to worry about it. They'll find the problems, and that's it. So it's a massive stress reliever working with professionals, which is funny because my dad sold printing his entire life, his entire career.
Hilarious.
So like I know the value in that.
Yeah.
But then the last couple of years, I was like, well, I can just kind of do this myself. But no, it did not work.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and that's the thing with digital becoming so prominent, is that the assumption is that what you see digitally is going to translate equally as well in print. Yeah. And it's just not the case. Print is a whole different beast. And digital does not translate to print at all. And a lot of people don't understand that.
I had no idea until this year. And I've been doing my own marketing stuff for over 4 years now. I'm going into year 5. I had no idea until this year with this poster, basically. I was like, why did this color look so wrong? And why do the colors often look inconsistent? If I get like a big sign on the front of the building printed versus a poster, like, why are all these colors different? I'm like, we have codes for a reason. There's numbers for a reason. It should be the same. I've learned this year that this is not the case.
That's what I was going to say, that when people are picking their brand and their colors, and that's one of the things that Heather takes into consideration, because certain colors, a lot of colors all look great digitally, but when they go to print, some colors are very challenging to get consistency. They do assign numbers, as you say, to your colors, but a lot of people don't get those numbers from the designer. They don't get the full package from their logo. And so when they go to do things down the road, they don't have the right fonts, they don't have the right files, because whoever created that logo isn't providing the full package. Where we give you your full package and we're always there to support you. Whether you use us for the print or you use somebody else, it doesn't matter. We're going to support you through the whole package. But, and every print device prints something different. So if you're making a poster, it comes off a machine, it might pick up your blue different. If you're on a banner or your outdoor sign and then you do a brochure, they're all different machines. Just like your screens may show different colors. So it's a real challenge. So that's where our experience in the industry has come in to, I mean, not that we're perfect every single time, but at least keeping your brand consistent and the same face going out there all the time.
You're there to help and support them, though. Like, if it wasn't perfect, or 100%, I know you well enough that you guys would help and you would fix this.
Yes.
Versus the place I went to, I'm toast. There's no way I was going to get this
Any
fixed.
feedback, it's just getting done.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. I was going to say there's a time and a place for it. I don't even know if that's true now. I just don't. I can't see myself doing that ever again.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the most challenging colors is.
I know. I didn't. Not until the last month or two, I started having this conversation with you and a couple other designers. We're like, yeah, this will never really translate well physically. And I'm thinking now, like just conversationally, do I wish we had a different color? No, it's really hard to remove myself from that color now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like it's a child because I'm not that invested in the brand, but at the same time, it's like I couldn't envision it any other way.
Yeah.
So it would be difficult for me to think of a different color.
Yeah, but maybe we find a tone that
Yeah.
matches. We've got a Pantone, like Lana said. Those printers can at least match to that
Get it close
Pantone
as well.
as best they can. And you know you're doing everything you possibly can to keep all your colors consistent.
Yeah. And
There's
that's-
a way.
Yeah, for me, like as my marketing brain, I always think like I'm supposed to be the aligned, consistent guy. So that's what drove me nuts about the signage outside and posters and all these things are different colors. So first time I ever went to Auto Trim to get the first sign for Thrive done, they're like, well, you got to pick your color. I'm like, what do you mean pick my color? I sent you the brand guidelines. It's all there. Like I sent you the whole thing. And they're like, oh, no, let's pick like one of these color chips. There was 100 different types. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you just pick something. And they're very good there. I love working with them. I work with them all the time. But it was like, that was the first time. Maybe I wasn't listening to people. Because people told me along the way. And I just was like, seeing all these 100 colors. I'm like, I don't know. You figure it out. But yeah, I've learned some valuable lessons over the years. So.
You know, and even back to color, looking at color on a monitor. That color is going to look different to everybody on their own monitor. So to try to corral that color into something everybody's going to see the same is pretty much next to impossible. So you have to just sometimes let it go.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially digitally, because everybody's monitor is calibrated differently.
Yeah, I had no idea. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat as someone who doesn't understand that stuff to like hear about it and then appreciate it. And I remember when I was a commercial banker, I had some different printers as clients. And I've been in some print shops and like I remember having no idea, like they have a color room where they would like be mixing up colors manually. And I was like, this is the year, we're in the 2000s. Probably 10 or 15 years ago. I know it's changed a lot.
They were probably mixing Pantones, I would think.
But
mixing Pantone colors and that become like we used to have customers labeled and that was their Pantone.
Yeah, they would have
that was their ink mix.
the room where they would mix it up and have extras and like the whole wall was covered. And I just thought that was just a whole layer of stuff that I didn't even know about. And I think what I love about how this story's going is it's those layers of professionals. And one of the things I've always been fascinated by is people will say, oh, we do marketing. But when you do a deep dive in every aspect of marketing,
it's huge.
No one person, no one firm can possibly be good at everything. And we have some complementary businesses in this room who cover a good cross section, together. Still doesn't cover everything, but, and it fits so well, like big world creative, things you can see. I
think
really
exciting
cool.
for us is we're really collaborating, with people like Matt and the people that we're meeting here at Thrive. And, a lot of companies, and I think you found this in your conscious community, there was a lot of, they didn't want to collaborate because, there's competition, right?
Yeah.
Well, we deal with other graphic designers, other marketers, and Matt will say something and it'll say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And collaboration is huge. And if more companies would get on board with collaborating and supporting one another, even in small downtowns, and, I think Matt and your video promoting great places to eat, great places to visit. And so you encompass all of Lindsay or all of your small town if we're sharing it, but so many people don't want to share or collaborate or just enjoy that experience because, I don't want to send them down there because now I might lose that print. But if I lose that print and they had a great experience, I might gain something else for them down the road. And we have always been that way with our clients, and it's the relationship build, because if we can't do it, then we are forming so many wonderful collaborations. We can say, oh, well, so-and-so could do that so much better. Here's their name, go ahead. And they come back all the time.
Yeah, it's such a big world mentality,
Yeah.
which I love. And whenever people talk about collaboration, I think it is the key. It's why we have this podcast and the Kawarthas and collaborating. And it's been I look at about 10 years ago, I was getting involved in the Ontario craft brewing industry. And in that industry, I called it friendly competition. And they were some of the most collaborative people ever. And they still are. They have the best conference. At that time, people are like, oh, is the industry too big? Do we have too many craft brewers? And now there's at that point, you'd be lucky to go to an LCBO and get a 4-foot section of craft beer. Now it's like there's a whole room of it. And they cross collaborate. If someone has a problem, they share ingredients, equipment. At that time you couldn't buy brewery equipment in Ontario, made in Ontario. Now it's like there's lots going, and when you see that collaboration in an industry, it creates a big, beautiful, creative world.
I always said too that everybody is going to resonate differently with somebody different.
Yeah.
And you should be working with somebody you resonate with. I mean, I ran a women's networking group here in Lindsay for 12 years. I stopped it about 5 years ago, maybe a year or two before COVID. But for 12 years, once a month, we got together, women in business here in Lindsay. And I would have these women go, oh, do you already have an accountant in your group? Or, oh, do you already have this business? And I'd say, it doesn't matter. There's no competition. Everybody will connect differently with you, and the ones who are meant to work with you will. And we always had the saying that there is enough business out there for everyone.
There is.
And if we work together, like Lana said, and collaborate, how much more fun would that be working in your business?
I think it's great too, because you need to know multiple people.
Yeah.
Take accounting. I've worked with lots of accountants when I was a banker. You kind of got to know all of them, and you get to know who's good at what. So maybe you need someone, and then you need to go to talk to someone else. And there is, that attitude some people have where they're like, must only do this here at the expense of myself. But when you work with people who like collaboration, like you guys with marketing, it's like, if you're the best at print or best at whatever, and you're just open to anyone, then that, hey, for this project, this is the best person for my problem. And then you're going to share that story. So someone else might be, they're going to be in a business where they need a lot of print. So they might be like, well, they're the best choice to get me branding that's going to always look amazing in print. And you become that person versus someone else who might not even care about those things because they're hustling something different. And that might not be the best fit.
It's about leaving your ego at the door, right?
Yeah.
Leave your ego at the door and help your client as best you possibly can in whatever way you can. And if that means sending somebody to Matt, because we know Matt is going to be able to service them better in a particular area than we can, then that's what it's about, because we collaborate with Matt. We love Matt. We know what a great person he is, and that he is going to offer our client the same great service that we would. So that's what it's about. It's about connecting with,
creating a community.
Yeah, creating a collaborative community that helps your business thrive. Thrive. Look at that, Matt, and thrive.
Let's wrap it up. To me, I want more people doing what I do well so I can sell my stuff easier, frankly. Not to put a different financial spin on this, but to me, the biggest obstacle I have when I'm talking about digital marketing is that digital marketing doesn't work, or it has not worked with people in the past. And I think there's reasons for that. I don't need to get into that right now, but generally speaking, it's the marketing is not good. It's not that digital marketing doesn't work. It's just it wasn't executed properly. There wasn't a plan. There was no strategy. So I'm rarely competing against other people or dollars or myself. It's all about like, a preconceived notion of I did digital marketing in the past and it didn't work. And I need more people to do digital marketing well. So my conversation is more about like, hey, can I make this connection? And frankly, like the more people are doing better marketing, the more we all can charge for it and grow and increase pricing. So that's my frankly biggest struggle.
Yeah, you're in this educational kind of area where you're trying to educate potential clients.
Absolutely. So I want that. I've wanted that for years with marketing, and I want that to a degree with co-working here too. Because there's people that walk by all the time, or they come in and they're like, what is this? And we're like, oh, this is like a co-working space. And they look at you like you've got two heads, and then you explain it.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, congratulations on inventing co-working. And I'm like, thank you. Yes, I know. Just like tens of thousands of them globally, but there just happens to be one co-working space in Lindsay. It's just a matter of I need not more, maybe one more really good one though, that like was on par with this to create more awareness for this, to tell more people that we exist. That's the biggest problem there.
Yeah, so. That makes sense. I never looked at it that way.
Again, you need the fit for you, right? Like you would love people to look up, be like, oh, there's 3 great ones.
Yeah.
They all have a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Now instead of finding a place to work, you're picking the vibe that you want.
Yes.
Right? And like that's, it's what I love.
There's a waiting list to get into all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Thrive is there's a good vibe here when you come in.
Thank
a good group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very friendly, and we love it. We don't try to miss Mondays, but we try to get here every Monday. It's we love to come in here for coffee and chat.
And just the fact that for me, I always say to Lana, do not book anything on a Monday. Mondays are just days I have to get my head back into the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that I make a point, Lana and I both make a point of coming here on Mondays says so much for what you do here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I've loved having you guys and getting to know both of you. It's been truly fantastic, like professionally, but just personally, it's been great getting to know you.
Fun.
So
I feel like we're family.
Yeah.
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 And that's it's awesome.
It's kind of the whole point of doing it, right? Like the whole, and that's the vibe we want. Like I've been to business events locally, and then I used to, when I was in grants, you get invited to speak at them all over the place, and so many are kind of stuffy. Mm-hmm. They're not what has been intentionally created here, which is like the real environment for people who want to collaborate, who understand the long-term game.
And you feel comfortable, like you feel in a safe environment.
Yeah, no one's going to pitch you.
No one's going to judge you, especially when you walk into.
No, or we'd be judged.
Oh, you bring that big world creative energy through the door.
We'd be so judged.
Well, like one of the reasons why I started Thrive was I did the marketing thing back in 2019 in my basement, and things were good. But it's so lonely and isolating there. And at the time especially, I didn't know you, I didn't know Brian, I didn't have a group of people. I had my old friends that were like well off professionally, but they weren't small business owners. And I had my wife, Meg, who now works with me here, but she didn't have any background in business. So I didn't know who to go to.
Yeah.
So the idea of opening this and having a place for us to kind of get together casually, comfortably, not in like a forced networking type of event where we're doing bingo cards and name tags and all that kind of stuff. That's what I liked about this. And you guys, I've never told you this, but you've pushed me to try to be more personable in my business because I am very cold, maybe direct.
Aww.
I have a lot of systems. I have a lot of processes. And you guys have said a couple of things about like how you don't like marketers that do this. I knew that, but like I make people book a call and all this stuff, and I have like X amount of questions. Anyways, but like you guys have pushed me the last couple months. I'm always like, I need to be more personable. I need to go to more networking events. You went to that big agricultural one, and, and then I had lunch. I was like, damn it, Brian, should I have gone to that? Like making me think about like all these things and be more personal in business. So it's cool, all these things that you learn from everyone, whether it's like intentional or not. Like you weren't doing a presentation on this, just like in conversation, thinking about like, well, I like what they're doing there and I need to do that too. So
we said that last night or Friday night at dinner. we're just on all the time. Like we're just talking all the time, no matter where we're going.
Yeah.
Not that we're always promoting ourselves and our company, but we're always on and we're always intrigued on what people do and like, oh, you do that, and maybe we could help you out, or maybe we can connect down the road. But
or we know somebody who you should connect with.
Yeah. So we're always on. We're always doing that. So networking is fun, and it all depends on how you approach it. And
even the word networking, I find too, it's just getting to know somebody. And I always feel that if you can help somebody, they'll remember that more than if you can provide them a service. And if you can help someone, they've remembered you, and maybe you won't do business with them, but they may refer somebody to you because, hey, you know what, Heather and Lana helped me with something one day. I think you need to get in touch with them. But 20 years ago, when I started my business initially, when Lana and I were supposed to start together, we won't go there. But
let's go there.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, let's get that one scheduled.
We're not going into history.
But like small businesses, I mean, everybody's on a budget, a tight budget when you're first starting out and beginning a business, right? So at the time, there wasn't, it was long ago, 20 years ago, so there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't social media, there wasn't digital marketing. So there was either print, you put an ad in the paper, or you printed flyers or whatever. And I didn't at the time have the money for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started networking. And that's all I have ever done to build business over the years. And what that has done for me is I have this community of the most incredible friends, business owners, knowledgeable experts who I can call upon, and I know that they've got my back, and I know they're referring to me as they know I'm referring to them. And networking, if you want to call it networking, I call it building relationships.
Sure.
Is what first and foremost has made our business successful over the years. And I know Lana did that in her last 20 years too. As a sales rep, she built relationships. And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
I think when you have that long-term relationship building where it's not about, I got to go meet a sales goal today.
No.
It really works. As you're talking, I was thinking about someone I worked with at RBC almost 20 years ago. I did a college placement with the commercial banking there, and then we just stayed connected. I was at BMO, and we have coffee every now and then. And then when I did grants, we did a huge amount of work together, and I would speak with her clients. And she always said, I'll always get the deal that I want. It might take 8 years, but if you just connect and build with people, even, you need to know that they're there when they need you. And when you know those people, they might say, I don't need anything today. But, 2 years from now, they leave and they start their own new venture, and you're the first person they call because it's like, now I think I need what you do. So, having that, again, big world outlook on things, you can have fun every day, meet new people, and then eventually you get to work with the people
building
you're
those
meant to work with.
relationships are indirectly filling your funnel. If you want to look at filling that funnel, like you said, it could be 8 years. Like I just had somebody reach out to me on social. I haven't told Lana yet. She reached out to me on social media over the weekend saying that she needs a website done. Yeah. Well, I have networked with her for probably the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And we've seen each other off and on over that time. But the fact that now she needs a website, she thinks of me and she's reaching out to me. And if you've started filling that funnel by building relationships, you'll always have that person coming through whenever to look for business from you.
I think that ties into our faith too, is that it just comes when it's meant to come. And if you have faith in yourself and your business, then you just know that your faith, it just guides, and business comes when it's supposed to come. And Heather's teaching me that more and more. It flows, the day flows just the way it's supposed to flow, Lana. And it's going this way because when we first joined up, I think I was more the person, right? Like, oh my goodness, here we go. But, it's just been a fantastic experience. And every day, a door opens that we weren't expecting. That's fantastic.
And you're putting in the work that gets those things. So you mentioned funnels, and I hear people will get really stressed out because they're like, "Oh, I don't have a sales funnel," and it's like, well, it might not be exactly defined, but it still exists. Like, there's probably thousands of people in your funnel, and you don't even know which ones they are, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And they might not have said, popped their head up to even say hello, but I guarantee you right now there's people thinking about their move, or they're thinking about a business. They haven't even said it out loud yet,
Yes.
but they know that they're going to think to come to you, right? So, when you just trust that that's going to work out and you keep doing your day-to-day activities, it's going to
when you keep doing what feels right. If it feels right, it is right. Your head may tell you should be doing something different, but get that guy out of your head.
Like, should we golf? Not golf? Should we golf? Not golf?
We're golfing. We need to.
Yeah.
But you know what? If it feels right, it is right. And that's, what we keep going with. Does this feel right? It does. So, yep, it is right. And I think I did a presentation. It was running your business from a spiritual vantage point. Now that sounds a little oxymoron-ish, I guess you could say. But I always say, if you put in the preparation, right? It's not that you don't do the work, you do the work. Yeah. But then, for example, if you're going to a networking meeting, okay, some people go there, I have to talk to 5 people, I have to get 5 referrals, I have to be able to reach back at somebody, and they set all these parameters for themselves when they go to the networking meeting. You know what? Get your sales pitch down, whatever that may be. Have it sound like you feel good about it. Have your business cards in your pocket. If you want to hand them out, prepare yourself. But when you go, just let it go, right? Go and trust that you've put the work in, and whatever is meant to come your way will 100% come your way. And it just takes the whole stress out of running and operating a business, because it shouldn't be stressful, although it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, if you have the faith that you've put in the work, and now, you know what, you've planted the seeds, whatever that may be, on a new moon, you're planting your seeds, and on the full moon, when it's all, energized and everybody's coming out of the woodwork, it'll happen. Now, not everybody goes by the new moon and the full moon, but
you got to do that. It's funny. I had a boss once. He'd send you to an event, and then he'd be like, "How many contracts did you get signed?" And that was always the measure. Mm-hmm. And I think of certain events where the answer would be, well, 0, but the relationships you build there. And I love in my mind tracking back different things, and it's like, well, actually, that event helped you sell your business for a big check. And no contracts got signed there, but you were, mad about it. But it turned out to be just a formative, event. And I love stories like that, or you go and it's a huge disaster, but you learn so much about what to do next time that you never do that thing.
And if you go with, saying to yourself, I have to do this, and this. People recognize that in the conversations you have with them. They sense that. Yes. So they know they're being sold to. It's when they don't feel they're being sold to, when they feel like you're genuinely interested in them. That's when you create the connections, build the relationships, and then, get those down the road sales or even referrals that you were looking for. Go without an agenda, just to get to know people.
Yeah, not everything is transactional.
Yeah.
And that I always find is really important. I'm trying to tell people that I work with, that not every post on social media is going to lead to a sale. Mm-hmm. Not every search on Google is going to lead to a sale. We kind of have to trust the process. And it's easier for me to say because I'm doing it and I've done it and I do it for other people. But that's always the thing I'm trying to preach. It's not always going to lead to this, that, and the other thing. Mm-hmm. I'll get frustrated. I had a conversation with someone a couple of months ago telling them, you probably should look at this trade show next year. We missed it, but we should go to this next year. We used to go to it all the time and it would never drum up any business. I'm like, That's not true. There's no way that you went to that trade show, had a booth, and it did not generate business. Whether it's that people that walked through and bought from you 2 years later, 4 years later, or they walked through, they told a friend, that friend bought from you. It doesn't always, there's not a direct line to figure that out. And like once you wrap your head around that, that's the part that I think connects all this conversation together. So
yeah, and that's just exactly like networking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I love about you guys and everyone in this room. We do this like with our networking. I'm intentional with it too. Like I'm never selling. Like during the coffees or anywhere else, like any event, I just go in and I talk to people, usually people I know first, and then other people come around. I'm never like, I hate this when people are like, oh, I've got this problem. And then so-and-so's like, oh, you know who can help you? Like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like me type of thing. Yeah. I'm like, I hate that. Like no one wants to be that person in network. No one wants to talk to them. Like if there's someone talking about like, oh, my business is in trouble and I'm not getting leads, I don't know what to do, I won't say a word. I will let that pass. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I'm not there to sell. It's just have a conversation. They'll come to me when they're ready.
Yeah.
If they're ready.
If they're ready.
So
yeah, exactly. You have to leave it up to that person. Absolutely, 100%. Because again, otherwise they're being sold to and people don't like to be sold to. And you've closed that door if that's what you do. Yeah. In my mind, anyways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great conversation.
I have one question for you, not to go like interview style, but you mentioned earlier 7 years ago you were looking at rebranding away from Heather Chapman.
Yeah.
Did you think that name being so personal was holding you back as an agency or a business or what?
Yeah, I was, I got a lot of feedback from a lot of different experts, people in the industry. And some people said that, you should go away from your name so that, down the road, if you want to build an exit strategy, you've got something that you can then sell and it's not connected to you. Mm. But then other people said, Heather, you've been doing this for so long. Everybody knows you by your name. You'd be crazy to, I was Heather Chapman Design. And so that's when I then rebranded to Chapman Creative versus Big World.
Sure.
Because I was tossing up, do I keep my name? I've been doing this for almost 20 years. My name is out there. Everybody knows me by my name. Do I just let that go? So at the time, that's why I made that. It was almost 50-50. Yeah. There was no right or wrong answer really to it.
Sure.
But the right answer is Big World Creative was meant to be used later on.
Yeah,
so
with a partnership creates that business.
Yeah. So, there's that everything happens for a reason. Just kind of go with your gut, go with what feels right. And at the time, Chapman Creative felt right, not knowing that down the road we were going to use Big World Creative. So that's the interesting part of it.
Yeah. I remember my mentor before I started told me that I shouldn't be calling it Managing Digital, because it will never be more than me type of thing. And I've had this conversation with Brian. I've had this conversation with lots of people, and I've hesitated for years. And it wasn't until like the last couple of months where I've realized I think there's people that I work with that don't know my business name. They just know me.
Yeah.
I'm the marketing guy. And I told you last week that I've got this other marketing business, Starting Point Digital Marketing. You had no idea. And I realized a couple months ago, like, no one cares. They come to me because they've got a problem, and I provide them a path for a solution. They either go to Managing Digital or they go to Starting Point, and that's all that matters now. So
yeah, and that's where I was, and I always kept with my name, even though I evolved. Like it was Heather Chapman, then it was Chapman Creative, just because there were other people on the team that it just sounded a little bit more full.
Sure.
I guess. But still, the name was important, and people knew me by me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and if they like you, thank goodness they liked me, and it was good to use my name. But yeah, just like you, Matt, I think they're going to know your name before they know your business name.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for the free advice.
Yeah, because I think it took me 2 years to come to an answer. Finally,
yeah.
I tossed it around for 2 years before I made a decision. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy one to make.
No, but if you're agile and you're a business owner that's like open to change. It shouldn't be that scary.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
need to be open to change and
Yes.
always educating and always looking for new ideas, because if you're closed-minded, you're not
It
going
was,
to survive.
and it was my third rebrand. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
But it also is such a pain in the butt. And you know, like as
It's
a designer
it's a big
and
mess.
print, like there's so much. I've changed my logo. I don't remember when that was, a year or two ago. It's still not fully implemented. Like I had to have someone come in and like change all the decks, like the sales deck and the letterhead. And I'm doing a presentation in 2 hours on an old deck that has my old branding. And I'm like, I don't have time to change it. So it is what it is. But it's just such a pain in the butt. It takes forever for that change. I think it's easy to execute the marketing. And
I think that's why when you said you went to the big box, where they don't take that initiative, where I would say, okay, you're rebranding, so let's do your checklist. So what do you need to replace? What do you got to do to get this new branding out and make it consistent? What's the most important things to get out first? And then we'll take it from there. So that's kind of the personal side of then outside the big box.
Yeah.
And that's what we like to say. We're kind of like your own personal marketing department in your back pocket. Like, you know, when you worked corporate, and so many of us came from corporate, you had the marketing or advertising department down the hall or on the third floor or whatever. Well, we're kind of like that, but we're just like a phone call or an email away.
Yeah.
Because we get to know each of our clients' business like it is our own. And so they don't even have to explain anything anymore to us. You know, oh, Heather, we need an ad for the Focus. It's this size. Can you whip one up for us? Or Lana, you know, we need this. And we don't have to ask questions. We know their brand. We've got all their files. Yeah. And we just say, okay, here's a proof. If it's good, send it off to the paper, because so many times it's last minute.
Oh, it always is probably.
Yes. So they're good to go, right? And we're like their backup for them, and we like to support them that way. We feel good when we support them that way.
I remember an agency that I worked for, it was very explicit where if they're paying for A and they ask about B, you can't answer it. They're not paying for that. So like if you're doing Google ads for them and they have questions about that, talk all day about that. But if they're like, oh, we've got questions about billboards or we've got questions about social media, you're supposed to kind of put your hands up and be like, I can't talk about that. You are not paying me for that. And I was like, that's disgusting. I hated it. It made no sense to me. And that's like a big part of what I'm doing now. It's like, I'm supposed to be your marketing manager. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to be the person you just ask about anything and I will help you through this situation. So that's how I grew like the biggest account that I have now. Oh, it's like slowly picking away at different areas. I'm like, well, we don't have this. This is a new area. And now they'll come to me in a pamphlet that went out. Not through you guys, sorry. But it was like this leaflet, and then they were like, "Well, can we have like a meeting to go over this leaflet idea? Like, should I charge them for it? Yeah, I didn't, but we had the conversation, and she's like, okay, well, we're gonna send it off to so and so. I'm like, well, I can do the design. That's when I charge them for the leaflet. Yeah. But like, I would have like completely not ruined that relationship, but like, it's just a big red flag for people if you're like nickel and diming and putting those roadblocks up for people, like second guess that relationship. So.
And also too, to expand on that, we've had clients who, you know, they'll come for branding initially and they'll get their logo and we provide them with everything, but then off they go to somebody else to get something else done. And the brand just slowly starts to deteriorate very quickly, actually, because they're trying to get something done over here and another thing done over there. And that's what we said. We can't, we have to be able to provide them with everything that they need in order to keep their branding strong. They've just spent the dollars to create this brand that really represents who they are. Let's not water it down by sending them off to somebody else. Let's provide them with the services that they need to keep their brand strong. So that's important.
It drives me bonkers. We'll do like social media templates for people because like, oh, we'll do it after or someone else is going to do it. Every time, like, this is a complete waste of time. As soon as this touches somebody else's hands, they're going to be trash. So it's not fun. Like in your gut, you know, like this is a waste of time and money, but what are you going to
do? So that's why, I mean, we provide a lot of supportive services that are needed after that branding is done. From you know, even photography. right? It's because even in photography, that brand still has to be strong. And you have to imagine how that shot is going to be taken to work in print with their brand or work on their website to maintain the look and feel that you want. So, piecemealing everything becomes very, very difficult, and you don't end up with a strong impression that tells your story, the passion for what you do, and all the things that are so important to a business owner. Yeah.
Awesome. This has been a wonderful conversation. It's glad to have you guys on here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. If you could sum up with one thing that you want people to know about you, and then where do they find you?
I'm pointing at Lana now.
Sum up one thing. Well, you can find us at bigworldcreative.ca. But one thing, I think if you're out there and you're struggling with how to move forward and where your passion lies and you really want to tell your story, that we're two individuals that love to hear your story, and we would love to get you started. And I remember doing with Melissa, one of the girls, I did an interview with her a couple of years ago, and I said, if I can tell you anything, go with what your passion is and try to eliminate the fear that's overriding that passion, because I wish I'd done that 20 years ago where fear set in. And so get rid of that fear. And I think that's where Heather and I can really be encouraging and find your story and get your passion out there and with a brand that you absolutely love.
Awesome.
What's the website?
bigworldcreative.ca.
Yeah. Go big or go home. Thank you so much for having
thank
us.
you.
Yeah,
This
well,
was fun.
fantastic.
This was fun.
You're
Hopefully
welcome.
come on again.
You
don't like this
She's
now.
pushing it
Yeah.
later.
We're gonna talk about 20 years ago.
Okay.
We'll have to script that one.
Yeah. Might be some beeps in that one.
All right, Matt, let's finish off. Where do you want people to find you, and what do you want them to know?
I want people to know that not enough people know that their business exists. This is especially true as the demographics of Lindsay and Kawartha Lakes are changing. I can help more people find your business on Google in less than 60 days by going to my website, managedigital.com, and booking a call.
Awesome. And I'm the business coach that helps your business get money with grants, increase sales, and streamlining your business for revenue and profit. Find me at profitcoach.ca. Matt and I collaborate to help you start, grow, or recharge your business, and we would love to work with you. If you wanted to discuss working with us, be a guest on the podcast, send us an email to setitup@kawarthasmallbusinesspodcast.ca. And remember, we believe that Kawarthas can be the most thriving region in Canada for small businesses.